Hello, I'm Vinesh Sukumar, VP of Product Management and Head of AI at Qualcomm. You're watching Sachin Syal's Chuck Day Show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Chuck Day Show. We're Silicon Valley's first business, tech, and self-improvement podcast for teens, hosted by a teen me. I'm Sachin Syal. I'm a 19-year-old award-winning entrepreneur, podcaster, author, and student from the Bay Area. And I interview remarkable and influential entrepreneurs, executives, investors, and inspiring people from all walks of life so we can learn from their stories and level up ourselves. I'm also the co-founder and CMO of 3doshas.com, which is a coaching company I started with my dad, where we're helping people level up in corporate America and their career through the 3 doshas energies and science. And the purpose of this show is to inspire you to go for it, which is what the Punjabi word achakte means, and I'm wearing my merch today. Today, our very special guest is Dr. Vinesh Sukumar, who is the VP of Product Management and Head of AI Product at Qualcomm. It's great to be here. We're filming in Santa Clara at the Qualcomm office right now. We have this beautiful place booked. It's a nice sunny day, and you guys know this is what I love doing. A little bit more about Vinesh. He is the lead for GenAI, Agentic AI, Voice AI, and Sensing AI, and he has 20 years of industry experience. He's a seasoned AI and ML product leader who currently leads the AI and ML product management team at Qualcomm, which is a very big semiconductor company, one of my favorite companies, by the way. And I'll tell you more about that later, actually. A little bit more about Vinesh. He holds a PhD in electrical engineering from Washington State University. And then he also has an MBA from the business school at UMass Amherst. And a fun fact as well about Vinesh is that prior to Qualcomm, he worked in AI at Intel, and he worked in product at Lenovo as well. Another fun fact about him, which I think is probably one of the coolest things, which is actually a question on the list, but I didn't show him it, is that he used to work at NASA. And I have a lot of friends that are studying aerospace and aeronautical engineering and stuff. And he was you're a research engineer, correct?
Yeah.
So I think that's something I wanted to emphasize in your bio. But yeah, with that being said, Vinesh has a lot of experience. He's a tech executive in the Silicon Valley. He was just recently spoke at Web Summit. And it's always nice to have wonderful people on the podcast. So welcome to the Chuck Day Show. How are you and what's new and exciting?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show and Happy New Year.
Yeah.
So it's always good to
How's your
talk to you.
2026 going so far?
Exciting. It's always back with a bang. We just, completed our prep work for the Consumer Electronics Show, CES, which is happening in Las Vegas as we speak.
Yeah,
One of my team members and my executive leadership team is all there, and we're announcing a lot of exciting products across multiple swim lanes on the PC side, on the humanoids, and the robotics, on the auto side. So yeah, a lot of excitement.
It's an exciting time to be alive, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's one of my. I haven't done it yet. I guess I'm still kind of young, I guess. But I want to go to CES and Web Summit once, hopefully. That'll be pretty fun. And the dream is not just go as like a participant, but hopefully I can get a press pass for the Chuck Day Show and interview all the execs there. I think that'd be pretty cool. To start off the interview, I want to ask you a question that I actually asked to all my guests, is to bring us back to your teen years. The podcast is for teens. I'm curious, what were your teen years like? Where did you grow up? What were you passionate about? What were you into? And ultimately, what drew you to technology and AI and working in corporate America?
A great question. So most of my teen years was spent in the state of Andhra Pradesh.
Nice.
I think in those days I was just finishing up my junior college in the city of Hyderabad, and you had I think two options, if I remember correct. Either you can focus on math, physics, and chemistry as one line, or you could focus on biology, physics, and chemistry, if I remember correct. So it's very oriented towards engineering elements, or more towards doctorate or medicine kind of stream.
Yeah.
So obviously I did a lot of work on the MPC line of engineering, and for some reason, good or bad, I've always liked consumer electronics. I used to rip things apart for good or bad reason, study them a little bit more, and then got curious. So I think that was pretty much my focus of attention, and things took a pretty good upstream.
That's a pretty cool story. I think I've noticed this with a lot of my guests. I think like just having that pure curiosity as a kid and wanting to learn things, even if you don't know it completely, and kind of figuring it out on your own, doing it on your own is really what it takes. I guess that's what you were doing if you're breaking stuff apart and putting it together. How old were you at that time? Like,
I would say,
my age or like younger?
Yeah, probably your age. At that
Yes.
point of time, nothing was predefined at that point of time. I just had a love for electronics. There was no concept of AI. It was
You
all
still
pure-
do. I can tell that you really love your job and you're truly passionate about AI. From all the talks I've heard and all the other interviews I've watched, I feel like you genuinely love this stuff, and I do too. So it's great that we met.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm curious, speaking to the teen audience, what does it mean to be the VP and head of AI product at Qualcomm? Like, can you simply explain in like simple terms what your role is and what responsibilities you have if someone's not familiar with what it means?
Yeah, so the way in my current role in Qualcomm, we focus on technology enablement. Technology kind of is, I would say, give or take, in the AI space, a five-layer cake, give or take.
Oh, you're making me hungry now.
One is the energy component, where it's all about efficiency. How
Yep.
do you really make sure that you can set up for the most sustained piece of operation. Next one is all about the chips, the semiconductors, what kind of focus areas that you really put to really get it done. The third, I would say, is more around the infrastructure. Do you have the right components in place to be able to get the best out of the SoCs and the chips? And the next layer is all about software to really make sure things are kind of working across from a scale operation, from an enablement standpoint. And the last layer, give or take, is all about applications, wherein you're able to drive an end use case. So I would say, in my current role, I put a lot of focus on hardware. Really making sure that we have the right amount of investments to win on performance, battery life kind of things. Other one is on software to really drive for scale and be able to service multiple swim lanes. And last but not the least is all about systems. Is how do you really break down complex problems into small things and execute for success.
I feel like you have one of the most important roles, because if you think about it right now in tech, what is every tech company focusing on? If you go to the website, something's about AI, and you're the VP of AI, like that's a pretty, I'm sure you have to, how do I say this? So much changes so fast in the world, right? Especially in AI, like so much stuff is changing so quickly. How do you keep up with, because I know obviously you studied this stuff, you have a PhD, you're very smart, and you're very humble too. But like, how do you keep up with all the new things that are coming out? And how do you make sure that your team also knows what's happening? Because I feel like when I talk to my friends in school, what we use AI for is just to get our homework done more easier. But I'm sure for adults, there's other things. But I feel like it's touching everyone regardless of your background, age, or where you're from. So I'm curious, how do you keep up to date with all this fast change, like the fast changing AI revolution?
I think the most important element I would always encourage your audience is be a student at heart. Always be a learner, because there's so much happening in our ecosystem that what is valid today is totally history tomorrow, right? So you have to be.
You hit the nail on the head. That's the question I was trying to ask.
You need to be really up to speed on what is happening. A second thing is you always have to understand is what is the problem that you're trying to really solve? What is your measurement of success?
Yeah.
If you're able to ask those difficult questions and then you know what your measurement of success is, then it's all about how do you execute to it and then get those boundary conditions. So if you happen to have the right technical acumen, the right amount of eagerness to really get things done, things will happen, right? You really need to have, as I mentioned, the fire in the belly, right? And once you have that passion, you will find ways to solve the problem.
You reminded me of my dad now. He says it exactly the same way, word for fire in the belly. And if you think about that, it's having that grit, discipline, motivation, drive to get stuff done and make things happen. And you've done that. I have a question for you more on the company side.
Sure.
I'm curious. So right now, I think people still think of Qualcomm as like a smartphone chip company. If we were to fast forward 5 years, what's the business most people won't recognize, and why does AI make that inevitable?
Fair enough with that statement is Qualcomm has always started its business being in the connectivity space, right? And obviously with time it expanded into being a very strong provider of modem solutions, and obviously
You guys never stop innovating. I feel like Qualcomm has stayed relevant. I've seen other companies I don't want to be mean to those companies, but I know you think there are other semiconductor companies that haven't innovated that well.
Yeah.
They kind of go down. I feel like Qualcomm is ensuring that they stay up to date.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we started a journey with smartphones, right? And it's still
Exactly,
important because
Yeah.
that's the smartest device, I would say, today, which has the highest amount of users. Every single person on this planet has a cell phone. And exactly, right?
And was filming.
Exactly. And once you get into that, then you get into other elements because you can scale that technology that you've learned on smartphones into PCs, into automotive, into AR markets, VR markets, MR markets. And quite recently, we also introduced our chips into the data center and the server market for inference. I would suspect, moving forward, you're going to see that Qualcomm represent itself in a lot of areas because you're now having a lot of investments which are dedicated to multiple work streams to get the best out of it. Obviously, AI happens to be a central theme because it is the foundation to drive use cases around perception, around generative, around agentic, on physical.
Yeah.
Everything is all about AI, right? So
literally, though, that's if you think about it, like we're in the Silicon Valley, so obviously you drive down SF, you're going to see all these billboards of AI company stuff. But if you think about it, the entire world right now is being changed. And sometimes when I say that, people think I'm just overdoing it, trying to be a media person, podcast to get views. But you think about it, like any industry you can think of, technology is part of it, and AI will make your life easier. And I feel like the best entrepreneurs create things that make people's lives easier.
Yeah.
And the number one thing that helps me with this podcast, actually, which a lot of people don't know, I'm not saying it does all the work for me. I do a lot of the work. I'm always ChatGPT, AI chatbots like Perplexity, Claude, Microsoft Copilot. There's so many, right? So I think one thing about you that really made you stand out, which actually made me want to reach out to you, is you're like a hardcore engineer. You're very technical. You have the degrees. You have the experience. You've led teams. What advice would you give to engineers who want to influence strategy and not just execution?
I mean, the first thing is to be successful in any organization is you need to work as a team.
Spot on, yeah, well said.
You got to, there's never I in that concept. And once you understand that it's a team effort, then the question really kind of comes back to the fact is, what are you planning to accomplish? What problem are you really trying to solve? If you ask these basic questions, and you'll be surprised that these answers are quite simple. And once those answers are simple, now the question becomes, okay, what kind of strategy you want to put in place to go accomplish that?
Yeah.
Some of them could be a very short-term thing, next 6 months, 9 months kind of thing. Some of them could be quite long-term, right? So if you're able to get that done in a very, planned phase in a disciplined manner and be consistent about it, I think that is the recipe for success. And when you're trying to do it, try to accommodate people. Always give the opportunity for the people to ask questions. They need to challenge you. You need to challenge them. But it's important to have a certain amount of dynamic stress in the organization because then you get the best of everyone.
Yeah.
Just be curious at heart. If you're able to get these basic building blocks done, strategy, execution, work, together.
I really like your mindset on leadership. I feel like all the stuff they teach, like that it should be a good leader is the stuff you're talking about, right? Like listen to others, work as a team. It's always a team effort. If you think about it, even in sports too, it's never one person usually. Or even if it's a company, it's not like, sure, there's a CEO of the company, but there are like thousands and thousands of people that help that CEO, and then they even have the board as well. So there's so much that goes into it. I'm curious in a more personal question about your career.
Yeah.
What was the technological shift that surprised you the most so far? Like that you were like, whoa, this stuff is game changing. Like that got you excited.
I think, there were multiple shifts, I would say, in many phases.
Sure.
First time when I entered the space of AI, but about 15 years ago, it was.
Wow, you were, dude. I was actually a baby at that time. Not trying to make you feel old, but like I'm just saying.
Totally
I'm saying that like think about the fact that you knew what AI was 15 years ago is insane to me.
The unfortunate part.
It wasn't just famous. Like it wasn't that well known. Now everyone talks about it.
The unfortunate part is even the word AI never existed.
What was it? Just artificial intelligence?
It was just called computer vision.
Computer vision?
Right. And computer vision those days was all about, pattern recognition, image modification.
You're very early. You were early in the game, huh?
Right. So it was quite simple in nature, not that comprehensive, but it was doing simple things, right? So that was good. The first shift happened is when people started to get away from, your traditional computer vision pattern recognition algorithms into complex graphs. I think the invent of ResNet, which kind of completely shook on how image classifications can be done. That was the first monumental shift, right? And then, when the focus was just not on image, and then you happen to have the transformer movement, where it's all about, hey, how can I look at memory and then take a certain amount of action based off the previous instances, which again was quite mind-boggling. Now the invention of textual algorithms kind of came into play. And I would say quite recently, a couple of years ago, when we started to get into generative space, it was all about creating synthetic data, synthetic images, synthetic text, synthetic videos, and that was another big thing for me. And now we're getting into a phase where it's all about agentic space, wherein hey, you just give a command and you're able to get things done. I think these are like big shifts, at least personally for me, as I never imagined these things to happen 15 years ago, right? So that's what I kind of see is these things are not taught at school, at least when I was going to school. So you have to be a student at heart to learn these things.
It is now though. It's product.
Oh yeah, now it is, right? And I'm pretty sure 15 years from now, these concepts are going to be pretty basic in nature.
Yeah, that's wow. Do you think, slightly controversial question, do you think it's an AI bubble? And do you think it's going to like pop? Or do you think it's going to keep getting better and better and it's going to continue, the hype is going to continue? Like, do you think companies like OpenAI and stuff are going to go public and stuff?
So I think the concept of AI bubble is different for different people. From my perspective, I think the investments in AI will continue.
People tell me they think it reminds them of the .com bubble.
Yeah, I mean, I think the investments in AI will continue. There's been a strong element of momentum because the need for inference and need for training is only going more. The areas where it's impacting, even on the consumer and enterprise space, is extending to multiple markets. And now the concept of humanoids, robotics, physical AI is taking a lot of shape.
Physical AI is crazy stuff.
And if you're trying to get into robotics or humanoids, you need to come up with a completely different set of models, which doesn't exist, right? So you need infrastructure to really support that. So, and video generation is the next big thing, where gaming folks are asking for a lot of video generation content that needs a lot of investment. So you're going to see a lot of interesting use cases, and that needs both infrastructure and also software talent to be able to utilize that infrastructure.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, I think it's only going to just go up. And now we have to make sure that it adds meaningful value to the consumers. So
I'm just so curious. I know you can't predict the future, and I just have to wait to get the actual answer. And I'm just curious, like when I'm 30 and stuff, I wonder where tech is going to be. Like if you think about all the crazy cool stuff in a good way that's happening right now. Like, this is why I do the podcast, to be honest, because I think tech is fascinating. It's fascinating.
At least, from my personal experience, the things I like being in the Bay Area, is if I can get into a vehicle, I don't have to drive, which is fully autonomous.
Oh, the Waymos and the Zooks and everything, like the self-driving cars. Or if you have a Tesla, you can do self-driving.
Full self-driving.
So you're a big fan of the Silicon Valley?
Of course, because there's a lot of innovation.
Same here. I even chose San Jose State because it's in San Jose. And it's
a great school, by the way.
Yeah, Zoom is there. It's a wonderful school. My dad actually used to work at Intel. Now he's a professor there.
Okay.
And I'm studying advertising there. But like, there's Adobe there. I think Zoom is headquartered there. I just feel like location is actually one important thing. I'm kind of getting off topic, but I feel like just because you brought up the Silicon Valley, I feel like it's so beneficial, right? Like, suppose I was a kid somewhere else, I wouldn't be able to come to the Santa Clara office. And if you think about all the other companies I've been to, they're all headquartered in the Bay Area. I know Qualcomm in San Diego. Hopefully I get to go there one day too.
Oh, sure, you should visit.
Yeah,
you should.
But yeah, it's wonderful stuff. Towards the end of the previous question that I asked you, you mentioned talent, and that made me think of the next question. So the next question is, what skills do you prioritize when you're hiring senior technical leaders today, and why?
For me, I look at a few things. Right? First thing, as I mentioned, is how is a person able to work with different personalities and different characters?
Yeah.
Is he able to gel well with the team?
Like jive with the team.
Exactly, right? What is his or her storytelling capabilities? Is he able to articulate quite well? And you have to be in a position to modulate your presentation depending upon the audience. How is that kind of coming out?
Yeah.
Is he a good listener? He or she is a good listener, because it's important that you have to take active feedback and obviously work on top of it. Is he or she the person who can, always put the team first rather than think about yourself? All the other technical skills are okay because that can be gained with time, but the character and personality is something that's your DNA, right? So it's important that
You're dropping so many bangers on the podcast. Like,
Yeah, that's at least something I look at.
Yeah.
It has worked for me so far, and I kind of
No, I love
stress
it.
on that stuff.
I mean, like, I'm kind of curious though. So, how should I ask this? There are a lot of young folks right now
Yeah.
that are my age. They're in the valley. They're in college. They got their degree. They're trying to get their foot in the door into tech, but they're struggling. They're doing an internship. They don't get a return offer, so they do an internship twice, and then hopefully they get a return offer. You're a vice president at one of the biggest companies in the world at Qualcomm, right? What's your advice to the young people who are trying to get into tech while they're saying, like, the biggest thing I hear now in colleges is, oh, the job market's so tough. The job market's so tough. But then I see some people that are just killing it and thriving, and some people that aren't. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm just curious, what's your advice to people that are not doing as well, that want to level up?
So the thing is, see, I've got 2 daughters, right? And I always
Yes, you
tell
told
my,
us, yeah.
I always tell my daughters is,
They're lucky kids. I know they might not think you're a cool dad. I think you're a cool dad.
I wish they say that too one day.
Make them watch this and say, like, this cool 19-year-old thinks I'm
Sure,
cool.
definitely do that. I mean, I've always been very consistent with them. Is
Nice.
You got to think outside the box.
Yeah.
You need to challenge the status quo,
Yep.
and then you need to be consistent.
Are they techies, both of them? Do they like tech?
They like tech, but at least my eldest is more on the medical side.
So one is medical, the one that was, you said it was speaking, right?
The eldest is into speech and debate,
Nice.
and she is more on the pre-med line, or she wants to
You
be
know,
a
speaking
doctor.
about pre-med, you guys want to know a fun fact, just so we can get we only have a few more questions left. You know, when I entered this building, I saw a health center. I don't even know that they had that at tech companies. Like, I saw a paper that said, like, need to better your mental health, and then I saw, like, I think you guys are partnered with Stanford
Correct.
Medicine,
Correct.
Healthcare.
Correct.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Sorry, continue. I just want to say, because you brought up pre-med, and I've been to so many companies, I've never seen that.
Yeah, so the reason I was trying to bring it up is I've always asked her to think outside the box, right? And you have to show your passion, and you need to be consistent. And consistency is not about, hey, I'm getting a result the first time or not, right? It needs to be continuous, right? It's not about discipline. And I've seen a lot of people, at least in the Bay Area, I don't know, somehow they get my email, somehow they get my contact number.
That's me, literally. How did I get your email?
They are consistent. They say,
Yeah.
yes, hey, I want to introduce
Setting out cold
myself.
emails and stuff. That's what I do.
Right,
For-
there's no response.
Yeah.
You insist. You always have to show, what is that icebreaker?
You know, that actually has happened. What happened? So what I did is, I won't be dropping it publicly, but I emailed a Gmail email that you had, and it was a picture of it. So I'm like, okay, now he's gonna see the email, and then I guessed your Qualcomm email, and then I realized that it wasn't working because I didn't hear back, and then I somehow found your Yahoo, and that worked.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to continue to push, because I can tell you, at least from my personal experience, is a lot of folks who are in the tech
gotta
world
hustle,
are quite
right?
busy, and all they need is people who show passion,
Yeah.
who show that, again, as I mentioned, the fire in the belly kind of
I feel
syndrome.
like you have a lot of fire in your belly.
If you're able to get that, then people say, okay, I'm going to give him a chance, or
Yeah.
her a chance, right? And then things start out. But if you just give up because I'm not getting it, then
Yeah.
you always find excuses on why it's not working,
100%.
right? So you have to think outside the box and say, how can I be persistent on my journey? And that's going to do you wonders.
Yeah, one of my mentors, David Meltzer, he's a sports executive. He has a quote that says, like, you have to be consistent and persistent. I forgot the quote now, but like both of those, and also not giving up. I think you're like being tenacious, but there's a fine line between like harassment and being persistent. So I think people need to learn that too.
Correct.
But there's so many things. But yeah, I just hope that, I don't know, I feel like I naturally never really give up. Like, if someone doesn't get back to me, I'll go to another exec, or I'll hustle my way to get to them. I'll literally cold call them, get their cells, or I'll find their emails. But I think teens get discouraged with the first loss or the first rejection. Like, oh, this company said no. Now none of the other companies are going to think I'm
I'll give you an interesting example, right? One of the kids, I think from a local school in the Bay Area, somehow reached out to me. And he started off by not complaining or introducing himself. But he said that, I'm from so-and-so school.
Yeah.
I just finished my master's.
Yeah.
I saw your talk on so-and-so this. I don't think I'm in agreement with you. I'd like to have a conversation with you to understand your perspective
Wow.
on why you believe
This is
the
fun.
statement
Wait,
is true.
so how did this pan out?
it actually panned out well because it kind of piped my curiosity index and why not? And maybe
So you got in contact with him and you
yes,
guys.
I did have
Wait, that's
contact
so
with
cool.
him.
That's
So
so
I kind of said, okay, why don't you come and let's have a chat? And he kind of gave interesting perspectives.
Did you agree with them? Or?
I would say at least halfway there.
Okay. Nice.
Because he didn't have the entire
That's pretty
background.
bold though of a kid to just. That's awesome. I love it.
So that's one thing. You got to think outside
That's
the
the
box
box, yeah.
and try to look at opportunities on how you can add value.
Probably got your attention. You probably don't get too many emails like that, right?
Yeah, if you're able to do that,
Yeah.
it stands out, right? And once you stand out, an impression is created. And once an impression is created, and that leads to wonders, right? So you got to think like that. Like it's just not sending resumes and say, guys, please pick me up. Sometimes it works. I'm not debating that. But there are going to be instances wherein it doesn't.
You need to be creative.
Yeah.
That's what I try doing with my guests.
Yeah.
So, I think honestly the best thing you said in this interview. Okay, probably not the best thing you said. You said a lot of amazing things about AI. I think I need to figure out a way to get fire in the belly, like in the thumbnail or the title, because it just like I've heard a lot of people say that, and it's so true. You need that. Here's an interesting question. Do you think you're born with that fire in your belly, or do you think you develop it over time? Like, is someone born a hustler, or do you become a hustler over time?
In my view,
Can you
I
like
think
learn? Can you do a 180? Can you become like someone who's like pessimistic, negative, doesn't really try that hard, and then like, do you think you can have that
I can tell you
transformation?
from my experience, right? My dad used to call it the intrinsic fire.
That's even better.
The intrinsic fire, and he used to be in sales.
Oh,
So
nice.
he used to find ways.
That's
to
what my dad
sell
did at
the
Intel.
product.
Yeah, sales and
So
marketing.
when you kind of go along with him, he will find a way to make sure that you're able to hit a certain target. So which means that kind of gave me that intuition is just not about selling a product.
Yeah.
It's about how you do it, how do you approach it, and then how do you convince the other person that this is the best one to go get it done. So I think for me the environment I grew in,
Yeah.
I kind of created that intrinsic fire, which kind of helped me out.
Yeah.
So I suppose I don't know. From my perspective, it's all about adaptation and your work environment.
I see.
Yeah.
I didn't touch on this that much because I only said it in the intro. But I'm just curious, how were your days at Intel and Lenovo? How was that experience for you?
It was great. I mean, the thing is, every stop I've had in my professional career.
Wonderful companies. All three of the companies you
Oh,
worked.
great.
Yeah.
I've had a
Yeah.
different perspective. At Lenovo, I had an opportunity to be based in China, work in China,
Oh,
get
cool.
to know how the environment of China actually works.
Nice.
At that point of time, I believe Lenovo completed their acquisition of IBM. So it was interesting to understand how two different companies.
With IBM parent companies, Lenovo?
The ThinkPad division.
Oh yeah, ThinkPad. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So that ThinkPad got
Yeah.
which merged with the Lenovo.
I see.
So it was interesting to understand how the things work and the culture in China, which was completely
That's a
different
cool
at that point of
experience,
time. Yeah. Same thing at Intel too. Intel gave me a different perspective on doing a lot of projects. Had an opportunity to work on the data center side, on the autonomous vehicle side, on
Wow.
the PC side of things,
So
and
cool.
it's one area where you can go interact with a lot of people. And
Such
you can-
iconic companies, all
Oh,
three.
absolutely, right. So everything is, it's a good experience. I would say.
You know, one of the ways I think I've seen your talks, and you're pretty well known in the tech industry side. Your name was familiar, but I think I was scrolling one day, I saw the CMO of Qualcomm do a short interview with
Oh,
you.
yes.
Don McGuire.
Yes.
Yes, I think he used to also work at Intel. And when he was at Intel, he used to work for my dad. And then I'm like, wait, Dad, isn't this Don McGuire? And he's like, yeah, he's a CMO. He's like your current CMO and
Right.
AVP, right? And I saw him interviewing you, and I saw me and him. Like, I should be interviewing him. So that's how I emailed
Oh,
you.
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's cool. Where was that? That was like weren't you guys in Lisbon? Or
Yes.
yeah,
that was
yeah.
the Web Summit.
He asked you something about some food thing, and then you said you didn't eat them, but you were going to.
Yeah, he was. So the thing is, I'm a vegetarian by choice.
I see,
Right?
nice,
And
nice.
obviously, Portugal is known for pretty good food.
But it's all meat. Or
It's a combination of.
what did he want? What did he ask you? What food was it?
He said, have you finished the local pizza?
Oh,
Have you
yeah,
tried
yeah.
The local pasta. I have not gotten there yet.
You were too focused on the job. You were
That's
you were
okay, man.
focused.
I'll try to make sure once this is done, I go catch up. on
He's
some
amazing.
things.
He's a really amazing person
he's
in
a-
the
he's
executive
a great
leadership
person,
team.
yeah.
I think he's actually he made it on the Forbes list for like most influential
That is
CMOs.
correct.
So
That is correct.
yeah, wonderful guy. Okay, back to Qualcomm now that when we're talking about this amazing company. What's the boldest AI bet Qualcomm is making right now that won't be obvious to investors for a few years?
I mean, we're making a bold bet on on the data center for sure. Quite recently, we announced that we have.
You guys are killing it, to be honest.
We're pretty much across the different spectrums of form factors.
It's like a household company name.
Yeah, now we're getting into data center and we're trying to put a lot of focus to really make sure that all the learnings that we've had on the different swim lanes, we're able to get that.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a tough battle.
Yeah.
But it's in our DNA. Like, nothing
I
comes
love-
easy to us.
You're such a good speaker. Like the way you say stuff, like it's in our DNA and like fire in the belly. I gotta learn from you.
Oh, I mean, we come the hard way, right? So
Yeah,
in Qualcomm,
yeah.
we understand that, and we're going to give our best to really make sure that we're successful in that.
You guys should check out his talks. Some of the keynotes you do are super cool. I hope I'm not getting this confused, but I was going through YouTube and I think you talked for you're on a Microsoft channel. Like you spoke at Microsoft.
That's correct.
Yeah, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And then you spoke at Web Summit. I'm assuming you've obviously been to CES before many times.
That's correct.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Well, Vinesh, as we wrap up here, these are the last two questions that I asked all my guests. The first one is, what's your all-time best advice for teens?
All-time best advice, I would say, is challenge the status quo. Be a good listener. Always be a student at heart, and don't give up so easily. Right? It's
Last one's the most important.
right, and it's all about discipline matched with consistency. And if you're able to do that, I think you
You're
have
getting
the
me
right
so excited
confidence.
now saying stuff like this. Discipline, when you said discipline matched with consistency.
Correct.
See, hopefully if I do that for this show, this can be like as big as CNBC one day. That's the goal.
Oh, absolutely. The thing is, my dad always used to say is, be sure that you put your investments wholeheartedly, right? If you happen to have the passion to be
Don't
successful,
half-ass things, essentially.
if you have the passion to get it done, you will find ways to be
get it done,
successful.
yeah.
Right? You will find ways to be there. If your passion is in gardening, be the best at it, and you will find ways that people will start to admire you for that.
Also, it's not the same path for everyone. One person can get to the same destination in very different ways than
Yes.
another person. There's no playbook for life.
That is correct. And every personality and every character is very different.
Yeah.
Right? I've come the hard way. Obviously, I was not born in the US. I finished most of my education in India before coming here.
Wait, did you did your master's and PhD here, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
But when I came over from India to do my master's, I didn't have any financial aid at that point of time. This was what
Very different part of your life.
25 years ago, right? And at that point of time, when you had to come to the US, you have to pay.
You've
at
lived the
least-
American dream, man.
You need to at least have 1 year of tuition, and
Yeah.
it was very expensive. And getting you got to go to get a bank loan and all that kind of stuff. But once you get to know it, and also this is the thing, like once you know that, hey, my parents or grandparents' house, is with the bank, you better make sure you execute well on your
Yeah.
education. It puts a lot of responsibility in your back.
What made you want to do a PhD? Because that's a pretty big commitment. Why did you want to go so deep into that stuff? Did you always know as a kid you wanted to become a PhD?
No, not at
Because
all.
that's no. Also, when you here's a funny question. I'm adding more. This will be only one more
that's okay.
left. When you came from India to here when you were younger, you said 25 years ago, and you didn't have that much money and you're also supporting your parents. Did you ever think that you'd be a VP at Qualcomm?
Oh, not at all.
Really? No.
No, not
Like
at
not even in
My first thing when I came to the US was, how do I
NASA. Well, you started at NASA, right? First.
Yeah, so my motivation was I need to get a job so that I pay back the loan and get the documents.
So you just
from
needed
the
money.
bank.
You just didn't.
Get back the documents from the bank and give
make
it
sure
back to
your
my
parent- yeah.
parents, right? Because I don't want them to be on the street. That was my primary focus. Now, once that was done, then you start scoping. Okay, what is around you?
You've
What can I
truly
get
lived the
done?
American dream. It's so inspiring.
Right, so it's that's how it's one thing at a time. Now, obviously, I had a lot of mentors who
Yeah.
helped me out, and I think with time, obviously, they were able to
Mentors is a big thing. Advice for teens. I have tons of mentors. Like I'm gonna keep in touch with you. Now you're gonna be one of my new mentors.
Well, absolutely,
Yeah.
anything I can help you with.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I'm curious. At NASA, just you can talk about it for a couple seconds. I'm just curious. What was your role there? Because that's so cool. I haven't met
part
many
of
people that know that.
work we were doing with the Jet Proportional Labs.
Ooh.
Right, so as part of Jet Proportional Lab projects, those days it was about long space research missions.
Yeah.
And one of the intentions was, those days I was working on a battery powering system, wherein how can that be fully recharged in an analog environment and be in a position to supplement a lot of vision systems to be able to acquire data for long missions. interesting project. Learned quite a lot of that, and
Yes.
it's a great,
It's so cool.
institution to be in if you're really focused on research.
My favorite emoji is a rocket emoji because that's associated with like
Oh, yeah.
entrepreneurship now, and then it's also
Correct.
yeah. So the SpaceX is doing pretty cool stuff too. I know it's like the biggest competition though of NASA, but yeah, they're doing good stuff too. Okay, last question of the day.
Sure.
Well, yeah, we're almost at time. Last question of the day. What was your favorite part of being a guest on the Ochakte show?
I mean, meeting personality like yourself, I was quite surprised that you're 19 years old and able to pull this off, right? So I think, that really speaks of the youth today.
I appreciate it.
And obviously, having the opportunity to reach your teen audience is quite impactful.
Now, you dropped some Vinesh had a lot of good wisdom that I think a lot of people should watch. I'm going to rewatch this whole thing. I learned a lot. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. That was Dr. Vinesh Sukumar. He's VP and Head of AI Product at Qualcomm. We're sitting in the beautiful Qualcomm Santa Clara office right now. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, guys.